wanted to ask you about that. There's a lot of people talking about who should be manager of the year.
The one who wins the title. It's that simple.
Is that it? No one, not for Arteta improving Arsenal, not for Ten Hag if he wins 2 trophies, not for Eddie Howe who's taken a team from 12th to 3rd in the league.
It's Premier League Manager of the Year, not FA Cup and League Cup Manager of the Year. It's Premier League Manager of the Year. The Premier League, whoever wins it, Manager of the Year. That's it. Yeah, and people are sitting there and go, oh yeah, but Man City are expected to win it. Yeah, cool. They're expected to win it. PSG are expected to win it every year in France. They don't win it every year though, do they? Yeah, Lille won it the other year. Yeah, I think Monaco have won it previously. Like same in Portugal. Like in the last 3 years, 3 teams have won the league. In Italy, in the last 5 years, I think 4 teams have won the league. Yeah, the manager who wins the title has achieved the aim of elite sport. Yeah, when people get their standards off the floor and understand that it's about winning, not taking part. I see Sheffield United get a trophy for finishing second. What is that all about? Sheffield United got promoted at the weekend, finished second. Here's a trophy. They're running around with a trophy. Why? You finished second, mate.
Is there a promotion trophy? Is there a promotion trophy?
Yeah, but then all the comments underneath it were going, well, the playoff finalist gets a trophy and they could finish 6th and get promoted. Yeah, they shouldn't get a trophy.
Well, yeah, but they've won the playoff, though. It's a mini tournament in a tournament, but yeah.
No, you could finish 6th and get promoted. You were the 6th best team in the championship. What are you actually going to do in the Premier League? Take the money, take the parachute payments and leave. That's it. It's true.
I hear you. So again, you're just. I look at it this way. I think Arteta's in the running for it, and I know that you don't look. At, so hang on a minute. I'll get to that.
I'm listening.
I know that you don't say. You say that it's for the Premier League only, but I've been reading up on previous winners and people that have been in the top 3 before. They do consider the achievements outside the Premier League as well. So that goes into their reckoning and their thinking. And the reason is, and I think the right reason as well, is because when you're like Pep this year, when you're balancing 3 competitions and you're maintaining quality in the Premier League, that's a factor in, wow, it's even more impressive than just being in one tournament. So for me, I look at it this way. If Pep wins this treble, he should be winning every managerial award on planet Earth for the next 12 months. LMA, Premier League Player Manager of the Year. He's FIFA. He'll be the world's best manager, hardest league in the world to win, plus the other trophies. He is it. If he doesn't win the Champions League and he doesn't win the FA Cup, for me, I'd give it to Eddie Howe. I do think what Eddie Howe has done this year at Newcastle is exceptional. To go from 12th to 3rd in the league. Again, I'm using the same logic and being consistent. Hashtag no hypocrite here.
He actually went from 19th when he took over.
19th. Yeah. So again, 19th.
What phase is he in, Tel?
Yeah, I phase 1.7, I think. But I look at it this way, that I know they haven't won anything, so I do get your point surrounding that. But I think the energy that I have for Arsenal around nobody expected them to be in a title race, and there's massive credit that goes there. The overachievement standard of Man United, because someone in the comments said overachieving is subjective. Yeah. Yes, it's subjective based on your predictions for them this season. If you predicted Newcastle were predicted anywhere between 6th and 10th by most fans this year. So to be in 3rd place is a tremendous overachievement. And I think they've done it. If you actually look at the traditional top 6, the Newcastle squads, you probably at the start of the season would have put Newcastle number 7 in terms of squad strength. I think Eddie Howe's done a fantastic job. And for me, he's a huge shout for Manager of the Year. However, I've got an horrible feeling Pep's doing this treble. If he does a treble or a double, so a league and one other trophy, he has to win it, because doing the double or doing the treble are 2 of the most magnificent achievements in world football. And as much as other managers have progressed and overachieved and other things, he'll deserve it. But Eddie Howe would come second, in my opinion, now, if things remain as they are. Although I think Arteta's had it really good year.
How can you win Manager of the season if you don't win anything? Like, you sound like that basketball player that's saying there's no failure in sport. What are you chatting about?
I understand. So again, this is just where me and you have had this long debate before, so we won't bore the audience with it again. I understand that winning is the ultimate goal, and I believe that Newcastle are on their way to winning. But there are some seasons where the achievements of a team that's unexpected. They weren't expected to be third, and they've achieved it. They've played beyond themselves. The manager has coached them and developed them and managed them into that position. So his performance as a manager with an unfancied team is still tremendous. So in an individual season, I think you can. And a number of people have won it before with teams that didn't even finish in the top four. Like there's been a couple of managers that have been, well, again, but you see it that way. Not everybody does. So that my take is that there is more to sport than just winning. However, the ultimate goal at the end of it is to win and achieve. Well, we've had this conversation before that not every team is going to be able to produce a team like Manchester City.
Okay, no, that's fantastic. 100 billion trillion % agree with you.
Yes.
But when you have a team like Brighton, for example, which I mentioned earlier, they've got a billionaire owner. There's 18 teams in the Premier League with billionaire owners. They can invest their own money into it. They are allowed to do that under FFP rules, right? They can do 100 million or whatever it is, yeah? Mm-hmm. Right? Brighton are buying a player for 2 million, selling him for 25 million. How much did they buy Trossard for? They made more money on Trossard than they brought him for. Yeah. Are they reinvesting that? No, they're not. So not actively trying to get better. They're hoping that they can keep spinning out cheap deals into big stars or sold for big fees. Ultimately, that ends up like Southampton because Liverpool ripped that whole club apart for all their players. And now Southampton couldn't keep finding the gems. Good. I'm glad they're relegated. And I guarantee you now, in the next 4 seasons from now, Brighton will be relegated. Yeah, good. Yeah, because they ain't doing what they're supposed to be doing. And this is why the Premier League, when they're sanctioning teams that do want to actively try and be the best, like City, yeah, and putting all these charges on them, why? They're making your brand bigger because more eyes are on it, more subscriptions to Sky Sports and this and that.
I understand that.
Can I ask you Brighton teams like that? Right. They're just making the money, mate.
So I can ask you a question. So when you look at what Gary O'Neill has done at Bournemouth this year, do you not think what he's done with the resources at that club is a good achievement?
Well, it's kept him in the Premier League. And do you know what's mad? Yeah. All of their fans want him sacked because he's got a clause in the contract that says if he kept him in the league, he gets a 1-year extension. All of their fans want him sacked.
I'm not. But I don't care right now. I don't care what their fans want.
No, it ain't a good achievement. Why is it a good achievement?
So you don't think keeping a team of that level with their resources, fan capacity, income, and squad, you don't think keeping them in the Premier League?
They're owned by a billionaire, mate.
Okay, but please answer my question. You don't think that's a good achievement?
No, I don't. Do you know why? Because the TV revenue, every single 20 teams in the league get 79 million quid TV revenue. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. They will earn over 100 million this year by being in the Premier League. How much did they spend in the summer?
I don't know.
Neither do I. Yeah, but they're going to earn over 100 million this year. Right? They're going to earn over 100 million this year. Plus the owner could put 100 million in. So why is that an achievement that he's kept him in the Premier League?
This is the thing. Bournemouth's turnover
Makes no sense, mate.
Hang on a minute. Bournemouth turnover per year is £53 million a year. They turn over.
Yep.
Okay. That's their normal turnover. So they can't spend like a team that turns over 400, 500, 600 million pounds per year. Now they're in the Premier League this year and they could spend it. But if that goes wrong and they go down, yes, there's parachute payments.
Sorry, one second. What did you say their turnover was?
I just Googled it here. Bournemouth, their last accounts that were announced.
Well, that was Championship.
Yes, okay. But when they're in the Premier League, there's not a guarantee you're going to stay up. So the reason why you don't just come up straight, I understand your point when it comes to a team that's been in the Prem 4, 5, 6 years, you build up the money, you should spend it. But when a team first comes up, it could be catastrophic to drop £100 million on players and then go down. You can end up doing what the likes of Bournemouth and so have done, where you cripple your club. It takes time. You can't just go from being a champion team. It does take time. It absolutely takes time.
No. I'll give an example right now, right? Last season, I've got it up right now, the website right now, yeah? Manchester City for the Premier League, TV, commercial revenue, merit payment, facility fees, and equal share, yeah? For Premier League football alone, earned 164 million quid. They finished first, champions, yeah? Arsenal finished fifth and earned 154.3 million. Well, hold on. I'm coming to my point, yeah? I'm coming to my point. So if you then go through to the team that finished bottom last season, which was Norwich City, their total income for TV revenue, all of the merit fees, facility fees, all of that bollocks here, 98.5 million. What, you telling me that ain't enough to stay in the league? Yeah, Burnley got relegated. They earned 106.5 million.
Okay.
This is without cup runs. This is just solely Premier League.
So I understand that. I mean, it isn't quite as simple as that, because
well, it is, because they can go and spend the money on players, Terry.
Yeah, it is, but there's still three teams are still going to go down. Okay, so clubs have to be a little bit. I understand if a club's been in the Premier League for a longer period of time, start spending more. There's certain teams that have been up in the Prem 4, 5, 6, 7 years, earning all this money, and it's like, why aren't you spending more yet? Year 1, year 2, I think you sometimes need to be a little bit more prudent. However, I want to ask you a question. If you get promoted, then straight away relegated, you're fouled, right?
Yeah.
If you get promoted and stay in the Premier League the following year, do you still consider that failure because you didn't win the Premier League?
Yeah, because you didn't win anything. Did you win anything? Yes or no? No, you didn't. Brighton, everyone's giving Brighton props. Oh, they're amazing. They have not won a trophy for 121 years. Why is everyone gassing them? Yeah, why can't they take... And to be fair to them, they had a go this season because they got to a semi-final against you lot, yeah? But why are these teams that win nothing, Terry, not even entering proper teams in the Carabao Cup? Yeah, because it's more money to stay in the Premier League next season than it is to go and actually have a bit of history and a trophy at the end of it. Yeah, and that is my problem. Like, Man United won the League Cup, they got 100 grand. If you win the FA Cup, you get 7 mil. But if you get in the top 4, get about 50 mil, 30 mil, something like that. Yeah, plus the group stage money, every win's 2.8 mil. A draw in the group stage is 970 grand. If you reached around the 16, you get 9.7 million. Yeah, plus you get your match day revenue. But if you're already in Europe as a team like Arsenal or Man United, your match day revenue is about £1 million every game anyway. Yeah. Regardless of what competition. But yes, you can get more sponsorships in with Champions League, so you can kind of make a bit more, right? Yeah. But at the same time, a team like Brighton, a team like West Ham, and I hope they win that Conference League. Yeah, they had a go this season. But it's the first time they've had it go. I'll give it another very quickly. Let me just say my last point very quickly. Yeah, let me just say my last point. Osasuna are in the Copa del Rey final this year against Real Madrid. Last season, Real Betis won it against Valencia. The season before and the season before that, Athletic Bilbao got to it. Yeah, Sevilla have been in it recently. Alaves have been in it recently, right? So how comes the Spanish lesser teams that will get far in Europe, the Sevillas of this world, yeah? Why is it them clubs in Spain take the cup competitions domestically more seriously than the teams in England? I'll tell you why. Because they couldn't give a toss about the money, because the money in England is so much higher than the money in Spain. So they go for the actual trophy, which is the aim of the league.
That point I agree with completely. Again, I think this is like where me and you disagree on standards and progression. I look at where Man United were and where Arsenal were 3 years ago. We have the same standards of where these clubs are expected to get to. I celebrate the step change and the progression where you ignore it all and you're only going to celebrate when you get to the end. And that's the only difference in that between you and I, is that you don't look at the step changes and improvements as milestones and well done, let's go again next year. You're just like, well, basically you're fuck you until you win it, right? And that's cool. That's how you kind of are. I also think the same as when teams get promoted. What you just said about Brighton as an example, with how long they've now been in the Premier League, with all the TV money they're earning, compared to some of the big teams in Europe and the lack of money they get in comparison, I want to start to see them invest more and more and more across the entirety of the club and keep going further and growing and eventually try and challenge for the major honours. Where I do think it's a little different is a Bournemouth getting promoted, who last year turned over £53 million, staying in the Premier League for a season is success based on their arc, where they are in their journey as an individual team. But what I would then expect is progression each year from a team until they can compete. There's no way, in my opinion, you can go for
Burnley.
No, I said Bournemouth. So,
okay, sorry.
So Bournemouth isn't. So what I mean is this: Bournemouth can't be, in my opinion, called failures outright, going from the Championship to the Premier League and staying up for a couple of years, and be expected to compete and challenge Man City for the Premier League title within a season or two.
They can challenge the cups, though, right?
They potentially can, but this is where it becomes interesting. So I agree with you that clubs do it for the money. However, it's about what you're trying to do with that money. So if you're trying to stay in the Prem to earn the 150 million pound a year of extra revenue you get here compared to the Championship, but you're basically saving and accumulating that to build a better team so that you can compete on all fronts over the next 10 years. Then it makes sense to prioritize the league, because over the course of time, you go from being a tiny club to being a massive club because you've built a wealth of riches behind you financially. So I agree with you to a certain extent. I just don't think you can judge it on a season-by-season basis and go, right, Bournemouth stayed up, but it's still failure. It all depends on what their longer-term ambitions are. Whether it's to make loads of money as owners. Oh, fuck knows. I don't do the fake. But you get where I'm coming from. So I
understand what you're saying, but at the same time, how many times have Bournemouth been in the Premier League in the last 10 years? How many times have they bothered to take it seriously? How many times have they bothered to try and push up the table? Yeah, look at Brentford. Brentford are a prime example, right? Because that's probably the best example. Because Brentford's owners were 30 mil. That's it. It's probably a miracle on that basis, because I don't know any Brentford fans. Do you?
No, and they're
a tiny little football club.
Their new stadium.
No income.
Do you consider them a failure?
Well, they ain't won anything.
So yes, you think they're failure.
Sorry, when you look at a size of a football club, right? Let's just put this in simple terms here, right? Because I see a lot of people in the chat saying, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about, Gunnar." Well, hold on a minute. Would you say Arsenal are bigger than Chelsea? Why are you doing an Unai Emery on me? Arsenal have won more trophies than Chelsea, so therefore they're bigger.
I thought you meant in terms of fans watching them.
No, so, yeah, are Man United bigger than Liverpool?
Yes.
Are Real Madrid bigger than Man United?
No. Yes.
So what are you basing this on? You're basing this on trophies won.
No, yeah, I understand that. So again,
so hold on a second. People will now come into the chat and go, but what about Rangers and Celtic? Because they've won over 100 titles each or trophies each. Cool, that's great. Yeah, but then after you do the titles and the trophies, you then go to history, you then go to fan base, you then go to income, you then go to all of that, Terry. Yeah, the ultimate to put Arsenal above Chelsea, trophies. And we have our fans out here saying, "Oh, bigger fish to fry." Shut up. Yeah. Oh, blessing in disguise. Oh, but the League Cup's shit. But then they want to make Arteta out to have done a double for a Community Shield with an FA Cup. No. It makes no sense, right? I mean, come on. Yeah. At the end of the day, Real Madrid keep winning and winning and winning. And there's different levels to the trophies. Of course there is. The priority is the Champions League and the Premier League. Well, after that, they've only been in 2 Copa del Rey finals in the last 10 years.
Do you assess
and
players?
If they don't beat Osasuna, then
do you assess players in the same way based on what they've achieved?
Yeah, because ultimately, listen, Matt Le Tissier is one of the greatest footballers I've ever seen in my life, but he never won anything. So when you put a GOAT status up there, or you can never shoehorn Matt Le Tissier into because he's never won anything.
Yeah, I get that. So I think in terms of clubs, the bigger clubs have won the most. I understand that. But I do think it's a slightly different argument from individual. Like, is Bournemouth's season this year a failure because they've stayed in the Premier League? I think failure is too strong a word. But I understand your logic, and I understand people say the aim of elite level sport is to win. But I think when you assess a singular season and you look at people's stories in the context of where they are, I think you can be a player that hasn't won the Premier League this year. And I understand why some people would look at you as the best player in the league in a certain time. I think managers can do tremendous jobs with their teams, not win the league, and still be looked at as an individual achievement that year. That was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, they're doing all right. Yeah, they're doing well. Yeah. Like Eddie Howe's doing great. He's doing fantastic, but ultimately he'll be sacked if he don't win anything in the next 18 months. Why? There's no failure in sports. So Jody Morris got sacked from Swindon yesterday. He got sacked from Swindon. He was Chelsea assistant manager at one point. Swindon sacked Jody Morris after 3 months because they failed to make it into the playoffs. Why? There's no failure in sport, according to this basketball player that's now filtered that into elite level sport.
No, yeah. I look.
So why they sacked him? Because they deem that as a failure.
Again, this is where me and you differ. I disagree. There is failure in sport, 100%. But I'm just trying to.